let's talk about SaNora Cares. Am I saying it right?
You're saying it perfect. Yeah, I appreciate
Perfect.
it.
Okay.
SaNora. So the story behind SaNora Cares, I think this really pulls
Mm-hmm.
back the layer on who I am.
Mm-hmm.
So SaNora Cares, the name comes from a combination of my two moms. So I was adopted as a baby. So
Mm-hmm.
my birth mom's name is Sarah, and my adopted mom's name is Nora. So that's how you get SaNora. And it's
Mm-hmm.
my child's middle name. So it is a legacy name, through and through.
Oh my God. Oh my God. So high up.
Feel stuck in that
I'm so
position.
full. Deja vu. I've been here before. Say come back down to earth. Resist the urge. Still no break. On this court. Let's die. Either or. Go for broke. Hustle hard. Lead it up. On the floor. Open floor. Go for broke. Hustle hard. Lead it up. On the floor. On the floor. Lead it up.
Welcome to another Let's Dream Big podcast. I am your host. I'm sorry, the CTA podcast. I'm your host, Mark Thompson, your interview expert here with another banger. Hopefully it is a classic episode because I have a very dear, special guest that I've known for a very long time and watch her grow through the world and corporate world, but also now in her own entrepreneur and nonprofit ventures. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce to you Miss Kimberly B. Evans, soon to be Dr. Evans. I can't wait to hear that on your resume. But yes, how you doing, Kim?
I'm doing wonderful. Happy Wednesday. Happy day to you, Mark. Thanks for the invitation. Excited to spend some time with you and your audience.
Yes, I am glad to have you on here because I think you have a lot to share. Again, on this podcast, I want everybody to get exposure to so many different lifestyles, jobs, careers, entrepreneurship, and then see how people pretty much have the same trials, or if not some similar situations that got them to where they are today. And we talk a lot about mindset. We'll explore Kimberly's mindset and really dig deep into how she got to where she is today. And again, I know, Kim, I've known you probably since 2008, 7. We didn't really know each other, but we always crossed paths, and all of a sudden it was like, hey, I know you because we haven't seen you too much. We can get in that. We ain't gonna talk about all that. But today, I want you to introduce yourself to everybody. Tell everybody who Kimberly B. Evans is.
Thanks. Who am I? I think that changes day to day, but right now I am a wife. I am a mom. I'm a mom to an adult child, believe that or not. I am, yes, an entrepreneur. I'm a woman of faith. I am a friend, and I just think I'm an awesome human being, right?
Yes.
Based on work that has been poured into me and the work that I poured into myself. So yeah, that's who I am in a nutshell.
That's good. And I usually do your bio first, but this is good because now I can read your bio because I messed them up on purpose. That is my mission, to mess up bios and give you a chance to expand on it. But let me read it. Kimberly B. Evans is the CEO and founder of SaNora Cares, a nonprofit dedicated to providing affordable housing for women in need in Wake County. An alumna of North Carolina Central University, NCCU, go Eagles. Kimberly serves as a DEI advocate for Fortune 500 companies, championing diversity, equity, and inclusion in the corporate world. A leader in adult learning and development, she is also a business and life coach. I didn't know that, but helping individuals unlock their potential. Beyond her professional achievements, Kimberly is a devoted wife, mother, and cherished friend. Man, this is the best, well-written. I'm sorry to everybody else that was on the podcast, but this is awesome. This is short, sweet, to the point. Man, so I want to start off with this with you because you have a nonprofit, and getting a nonprofit is not easy.
It's not.
It's not easy at all. Let's talk about SaNora Cares. Am I saying it right?
You're saying it perfect. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Perfect. Okay.
SaNora. So the story behind SaNora Cares, I think this really pulls back the layer on who I am. So SaNora Cares, the name comes from a combination of my two moms. So I was adopted as a baby. So birth mom's name is Sarah, and my adopted mom's name is Nora. So that's how you get SaNora. and it's my child's middle name. So it is a legacy name, through and through. So SaNora Cares was born from really a dear request to understand my assignment. So I lost my mom, my adopted mom. Again, I was adopted at the age of 7 months. So that's all I know. So
Right.
I lost her in 2019, so right before the pandemic. So you have to understand my parents, my adopted parents, they fostered children for about 30 years. They had no biological children of their own, and I was their first adopted child, so the first of 6. So,
Wow.
yeah, wow. So there's been many points throughout my life where I start to realize just the impact that she has had, not just only on my life, but obviously I would say my parents fostered over 100 kids over the course of 30.
Right.
So just, round numbers for sure. So I started to realize, especially when I became a mom at the age of 24, I'm like, wow, like just wow, the sacrifice, the love that you have to have. But deeper than that, just stepping into your assignment. So SaNora Cares came to me as I'm literally sitting at my mom's homegoing services. And many of the mothers that she had either fostered and or adopted their children came to pay their respects. And so they're standing
Right.
and they're, giving their speeches. So I'm sitting there, obviously present in body, but not so much in mind in that moment, as you
Right.
can imagine. And I began to, ask God for direction on my assignment. Corporate America had been great to me. I feel like I have been great to corporate America. I still wanted an assignment, more so than a legacy. Like I think the word can really just have different connotations about it or around it. So I wanted my assignment. And through that time, obviously the pandemic, was on my heels. And so I had time to both grieve and think and rest. And he gave to me the assignment of SaNora Cares. And that was to provide housing and programs to young women that needed that support as they age out of the foster care system.
Right.
In the United States, at the age of 18, on your 18th birthday, literally, you're no longer a ward of the state. And so you're just sort of out here trying to figure it out on your own.
Right.
I realized even having a support structure, the age of 18, you really don't know,
Right.
and life is hard. Life is hard when you're 18, 28, 48, 58, 68, right? Life be life then. So that was the assignment. And so I said, okay. Like I knew I wasn't, I'm sort of wired to like foster children, but he allowed me to take on a different approach. I've certainly been blessed just having a great family structure, resources from the community, great community, obviously like yourself, being able to go to college and network and build a path for myself. SaNora Cares. So got to work, put pen to paper, really it, recognized with the IRS as a 501c3. From there, I found a really great deal in 2021 on a home in Raleigh. Was able to purchase a home and renovated it and made it a shared living space, fully furnished. And I was able to offer, permanent housing to 3 women
Wow.
in 2023. And I was able to mentor these young women and pour into them and, connect them with other people in the community so that they just had a brighter future, right? So that is my mark. That is what we do at SaNora Cares. And the goal is to take it worldwide. But, that's where we're starting right now in Wake County. And so far, so good. Over the last 2 years, we have been able to provide housing to 8 minority women. Obviously, the work continues, but I am proud that, my story wasn't in vain. Mom's story wasn't in vain. And both moms, I am gifted to and blessed to have a connection with my birth mom as well. She is very much so a part of my life. So I'm able to just shed light on a beautiful adoption story and just pay it forward to many women that look just like me. Because I know that it could have been
Right.
different. So I'm grateful. And I feel like when you are blessed, you should be a blessing to others.
It's a tremendous story. It is I was writing down notes and you said stepping into your assignment, stepping into your purpose. I've talked about that on a lot of my podcasts, and it is pretty much synonymous with folks having to understand sometimes it does take you being backed into a corner with your mind, right? actually going through some type of hardship, because God is really trying to pull you into something incredible. And a lot of people miss that. A lot of people miss that opportunity, but you saw it, you tapped into it, you jumped into it, and now your life, you can see how the train goes. It's like things that your mothers went through. Both of them built you into a space where, we go through life going through, and we'll get to your corporate America story as well, because God, I know a lot of your corporate America experiences has transitioned into now this and made it more spectacular. But now you've taken this, taken your gifts, taken your assignment, your purpose, and built something to now give somebody another chance. And think about these young ladies who will now have a story because of what you've done for them. Like, this is amazing, nothing short than amazing. And all of it, to folks who believe and not whatever, a higher power has a lot to do with what we're here on this earth. Like, I tell people all the time that it is not me. My gifts are for other people. Same reason why I started Career Transformation Academy is I want other people to thrive. And you have that in every bit of SaNora Cares. I love it. I love it. One of the things I always ask is, who kind of gave you, who you are, made you who you are, but you already kind of went through that with your mothers. What would you say to this in building who you are? What other, mentors did you have? Did you use mentors? Did you have friends that were valuable in your growth over the years?
Yeah, great question. And absolutely, to think that you could do something by yourself, I think it's asinine. They starting at a very young age. I grew up in a very close-knit community. So I grew up during a time where, and in a neighborhood where your neighbor, your teacher were like extensions of your mother, right? Everybody had, a say and a stake in your childhood and, in your livelihood, right? They had the best interests at heart for you. So literally my neighbor was my fourth grade teacher. So, and of course, if you think back to elementary school, so the fourth grade, you're really honing in on, all the things, right? So to write and really learning how to position yourself as a successful student. I always had a love for learning, a love for, school. I didn't want to get up in the morning, so that's a whole different story, but I'm not a morning person. But with that, once I got there, I loved just being able to soak in information. So my fourth grade teacher, Miss Cheeks, she's no longer with us, but the work that she's done certainly has helped shape me for who I am. So the bio, like you said, right? She had a love for English, and so I could cut no corners on writing and writing very well and being able to communicate, as good as I can now. Not that I'm an expert, always learning and shaping myself to be better, but she certainly was very much so impactful, as many of my teachers were, but she's always going to stand out as a gem. Again, literally my next door neighbor. So with that, like after school, I'm hanging out with her. They didn't have any children, so I was like their child.
You're right.
And so learning how to garden, learning how to just really connect like with the earth and just enjoy the pleasures of life was certainly profound in who I am today. The church, Sunday school, like just having that foundation, like you say, just a spiritual foundation, a higher power foundation. I certainly would be remiss if I didn't edify that as a pillar to who I am today. Let me think. I would say just myself, right? Taking time to tap into who you are.
Right.
What makes you click? What you like, what you don't like. Finding my voice. I wouldn't say learning it, but really finding my voice. I'm transparent. I found out that I was adopted at the age of 7. It was maybe 6-7 months of going to school, like just being in the classroom. So of course I started like pre-K at the age of 4, but 6, you start to kind of tap into all of your wits about yourself, your level of intelligence. And so I'm looking around and I'm going to different friends' houses and I'm seeing the dynamics of their family. And I'm back to my own family and it was a whole melting pot. So when I say my parents, it was the United Nations, like it's Chinese, Black, white, you named it. It's just a foundation of love in that home. So I never felt neglected in terms of love. But I'm like, 1 + 1 is not equaling 2. Like,
right.
Blue-eyed child calling you mommy. Like, I'm not really getting it. So one day I just came home from school and I said, Mom, like, am I adopted? Right. And I just had enough to
Mm-hmm.
know. I guess because I had heard the word in terms of just the connections that she had in the community and working with the Department of Social Services. So I knew the word.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, am I adopted? Am I like just plucked
Right.
and landed here by some osmosis? And so she was like, yeah, you are.
Wow.
And it was like all the feels in that moment,
Yeah.
you're like, okay, I'm not crazy. Great, we can check that box. But now what? Like, why am I adopted? Why didn't my
Mm-hmm.
parents want me? Why didn't I feel loved? Circling back, I had to kind of understand that all things just work together for your good, right? So
Yeah.
my parents were 17. It was a unanimous decision in terms of me being placed up for adoption. I obviously was adopted by an amazing family, but I had
Mm-hmm.
to work through that even until my adulthood, not feeling like I belong in a sense. Like if your
Mm-hmm.
mother can't mother you, then what's
Right.
wrong with me? And having to sort of fight through that. So I'm thinking, I want to thank myself, right?
Right. Right. Right.
Working through that and realizing that's really not the story. It's about how you tell your narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the facts, but that doesn't mean that something is wrong with me. So I've shifted the narrative to say that, like, I was a chosen child, right? I was
Right.
handpicked, right? So I now laugh at it. And so the work that I do through SaNora Cares, while housing is obviously very important, no one is going to ever argue that. What's most important is building up that self-esteem and that self-confidence,
Right.
because a lot of their lives have been very trauma focused.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly as a minority women, there's so many levels of distrust and just angst and
Mm-hmm.
again, just emotional turmoil that they have to work through before you can even get to thinking about, their career and their life.
Right.
They are and being a voice for themselves. Like I see myself as being a voice for them until they can find their voice.
I was going to say, as far as yourself, when we talked about these mentors and people who are in your life, and even when you're forced or in these spaces of you're back against the wall, you're thinking about trauma, I guess what I'm trying to say is it's so hard to really live in that defeat versus seeing the other side. And I think for young folks today, that's what a lot of people are struggling with. And that's why they grab hold to this comfort of, I've been in this dark for so long, so let me stay here. Then seeing that if I just take 2 steps forward or a step a day towards what is better and seeing that. But a lot of times it is what we're talking about. It is having somebody in your corner. But if you don't have that person in the corner, I think one of these things now is that it is a decision at that point, because if it's just you by yourself, you got to make a decision whether I'm going to be in despair or am I going to thrive? And that's what a lot of people, and I try to promote that when it comes to mindset, you got a choice to make every day. Do I choose thriving or do I choose to be down in the dumps?
Yep.
And I think that's that personal thing, personal growth and strength that you just displayed in there, because you could have been like, man, I was adopted. We wouldn't be here right now if you just said, you know what, I don't care. You could have been in a different lifestyle, but you did choose and look at your foundation and say, I want more. I want better. I am not my past. I am not my defeats. I am Kimberly B. Evans, So that's good.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you said a mouthful. Again, it's about you deciding how to tell your story and not allowing someone else to tell your story for you. I mean, it could have gone so many different ways, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why my mother could have aborted me, right? I could have ended up, in a garbage can somewhere. I mean, you can go through the list of how things could have went left, but they didn't. And so with that, I have to lean into the fact that I was given an opportunity to thrive, so I can't squander that. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Less about paying it forward to someone else at that point. It's more so about me just standing in my truth, honoring that, because what I've discovered over the years is that while my birth mom went through this trauma of having to place her child up for adoption, like literally she gave it to me, didn't even hold me, and she didn't see me again until I was 20 years old. So after having a child of my own, and I'm like, there is no way God's I could have delivered my child and never touched them again. Like, that's just insane. Having grace for what she has gone through, her trauma in that moment was a blessing to someone else. It was a blessing to Dora.
Right.
My parents couldn't have children. My mother couldn't have, a child of her own. Following the bouncing ball over the years, as God has sort of peeled back the layers to just see the beauty in it, has really made a difference, right? Allow myself to understand the blessing and not, close the curtains on the beauty of it, right? I like to, in all things, I'm looking for the silver lining. I don't care what it is, right? Like my tire went out. I train my mind, my mindset, like you just spoke of, is looking for the silver lining because something good in everything. But we have to pause and get quiet and distractions in order to see that. And I've gone through a divorce, I've gone through, relationships just going left or right, meaning platonic and otherwise. But I have to train myself at that point to say, well, what's the good in it? And how do we move forward? Because even in SaNora Cares, I've come across some women who it's the lip service, but it's not the follow up in their actions. Like, help, yes, I want better for myself, but the actions don't match. And I'm dealing with grown women. I'm not dealing with children. I'm dealing with 18, 20, 21, 22. And they see Kimberly, which is, yes, who I am. But there's a Kim and there's a Keisha that's and also who I am.
Right.
So Keisha steps in and I'm like, look, sister girl, like I'm here if you need me and when you need me, but you have to want it for yourself. And if that happens, then I'll be over here until you understand what you want. And I like to say, start with the end in mind and then up, like reverse engineer your life, because at this point it's nobody else's fault. But so hard life lessons, but it's still real. Like tough love is still love.
It is boundaries, it is you providing a service at the same time maintaining your boundaries. And and the boundary is good for you and that person because they do have to discover it on their own. And I think so many people, especially our young folks, are like, well, you're going to help me. I want you to do everything. And it's like, no, this is a journey that I can show you the door as a mentor, even as a sponsor, or even as an advocate. I can show you the doors, walk in there with you, but then you got to do the work,
Yeah, it's a hard lesson to learn, even for myself.
Yeah. So I deal with the same thing. It's a lot. There's a lot of people who are very ambitious. I wish I could find out what that is to break people over the hump, but there's fear, and fear ends up being so comfortable to people because it allows them to go back in that shell of, it's not, I don't have to do it. I don't worry about it. Like the successful people in this world said, I don't care about fear. I don't care what people say. I'm going to do this. And if I fail, I'm try it again. What you're doing, what I'm doing, what a lot of the other entrepreneurs, so this is Entrepreneurs of the Triangle, everybody that I brought on the show for this season saw fear, looked at fear in the eyes and said, you know what? I'm going to do this. I don't care. Let me get out here and try and figure it out. And that's what it is. Getting over that hump. Deciding to know that failure is going to teach me the best lessons ever. And then you'll look at the past and see the growth. Wow. If I hadn't started, I never would be here. I still be back there in a cave, just metaphorical cave.
Pressure makes diamonds, right? And so, I say my mindset is you're not failing, you're failing forward.
Yes.
You're learning from mistakes and you're able to course correct and do it better. One of the notions that you have to eliminate from your mind is, I haven't seen anyone else do it. So then I don't know what to do, or I'm not going to do anything. I have analysis paralysis because I went through that. I do all the things, right? So my 12 team, right? There's 12 irons in a fire, 7 of them red hot. So I want to have this, and that. And so he has helped me discover a focus around what I want to do and focus on one thing right now. And then we'll layer on other things because you can't do everything and be everything to everyone all at the same time. It's just, well, you're not wired like that. So failing forward, learning from your mistakes, and then understanding, I can look to my left, I can look to my right, and I see that no one else has done it. I didn't know anyone that was transitioning from corporate America, launching their own nonprofit in this space of housing development and mentoring women coming out of foster care. I didn't know anyone. I didn't know anyone, right?
Right.
So
Right.
sometimes you have to be the pioneer in whatever that is, in your career, right? Like in your business, you just have to be the pioneer because somebody has to be the first, right? We
Right.
the MLK Day on Monday, someone has to be the first. And in being the first, you are allowed now to make the
Mm-hmm.
most mistakes because there's no roadmap, right? There hasn't been a
Yes.
GPS. You have to tap into what you know and then over time close the gap on what you don't know. And
Right.
you pass on that knowledge. And that is what basically makes you a hero. Not that you're doing it for the awards, but it just happens because now I have people calling me to say, well, how do I do X? And I'm like, okay, this is how you do it because you get to make their path a little smoother because you already
Yes.
the bumps and the bruises. You just have to take one for the team. It just is what it is. So if you cut
Yes.
for that, then great. Like that's the gift of being entrepreneurship, but it's the gift and then also the curse, if you will. So
Look at that. You know, pioneering, I would say, breaking. Well, let's go back. You said it perfectly. The title of your podcast is The Gift of Being an Entrepreneur. So you said it perfectly. I didn't even go over that earlier. But when you are about to embark on entrepreneurship, you have to do exactly what you said. There's a need. And this is also something that is groundbreaking that I want to do. I think that's what gives you that passion behind it, because you can take your expertise and then add that to that. So I want to go into this too, because this is the gift of being an entrepreneur, but you've had an extensive corporate American experience. And I'm, I talk about networking all the time. I reached out to you several times because I was interviewing for the same company that you were working at, and I wanted to know what you were doing, and you were doing some tremendous things. I'm looking at your LinkedIn. Kimberly just got promoted. I'm like, wait a minute, she is moving up the ladder. But I talk about networking as a foundation in career success in either way, and also being an entrepreneur. Talk about how, corporate America, what you did in corporate America, but also how it helped you in your entrepreneur business today.
yeah, my approach to corporate America has always been to gain skills, to gain transferable knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And because that has been my approach, I have been able to sort of plug and play that information, those skills into any adventure that I've taken on. And I've had my own daycare, I've had my own boutique, obviously now my own nonprofit, but it's all the same. So with that, I have a master's in business administration with a concentration in project management. I got that degree for corporate America, but even in that, you're going to have to project manage everything, your life,
Right.
and certainly a business
Right.
adventure. So it was about making it work for me, allowing corporate America to pay for those degrees, and then taking that information and then pouring it into my family portfolio of my business. So I think that's it. I mean, I'll say it again, start with the end in mind and work words. Yes, corporate America, like I said, has been good to me and I've been good to corporate America, but I knew I always wanted more. And the thing that I love, yes, aside from money, is my time, my freedom and time. Again, being a Sagittarius, like I need to be free. I'm a butterfly. I just need to be able to kind of float here and there at will, or certainly at a level that is comfortable for me. So corporate America has allowed me to make new opportunities for myself. Like, I mean, yeah, I love a W-2. I love a paycheck every 2 weeks. I love some benefits.
Right.
But having that has allowed me now to focus on my passion projects, right? My commitment. And so 1+1 is equal to. I won't bash one or the other. Not everyone's cut out to be an entrepreneur. There are some people that, I love what I do in my career and I love them for it. But I don't mind having the best of both worlds because I allow them to work simultaneously for me.
That's great. That's great. And the experiences that we gain, I thought about it myself as I moved up the ladder, and you get to this space where it's like, oh, I always wanted to have this job. But when I got there, I was like, this ain't it.
This ain't it.
It's like the money is good, but something's missing, like you said, you're not really doing your passion. You're doing this to get money. But when you flip it and say, all right, well, let me use this job to build on my experiences. Let me build it on how I can strategize, organize, put people together in different spaces.
Mhm.
So I take all of that and I'm like, bright idea. 20 years of HR operation.
Mhm.
I've been interviewing, I probably interviewed 1,000 people. I understand the ins and outs on both sides, Career Transformation Academy. So
Right.
then I make this business and I'm sitting here thinking like, wow, all I'm doing is taking everything I've been doing for 20 years and plugging it in. And people are like, man, how'd you get running so fast? Well, I've been doing it in corporate America. So like I said, I don't knock corporate America at all because it can teach you so much. You can have all these meetings, but you can learn so much. And I think for people who may be thinking about that entrepreneur space is the thought of get your money, stack the money to be able to apply it. And I never tell anybody to quit their job unless they can supplement it on this side. Keep going at the same time until this one grows, and then you can possibly make that leap. But keep both going because you're going to be able to maximize and optimize your opportunities on both sides and gain more experiences. And lo and behold, you may have, like I had on the last podcast, you may have somebody within your company that likes what you're doing and will push you out and be like, wait a minute, you're doing something incredible. Maybe we can add you. And that'll be the ultimate thing you can do unless doing hair or doing nails on.
I think you're touching on something that I want to double click on, and that is the network, right? So
Yes.
for me, I was at a global corporation. So the network possibilities, you're still working with human beings who have passions and desires and all of that. So you get to really lock arms with some amazing people. So I spent almost 7 years at Red Hat. And so
Mhm.
I guess RIP to DEI programs, but
Right.
that I was an executive leader with the diversity, equity, and inclusion programs entitled Build. And so Build's Blacks United in Leadership and Diversity, they poured into my nonprofit.
Mm.
It went hand in hand.
Right.
I would not have had those connections and those resources had it not been for, the corporate America connections. So like while you're in corporate America, again, make it work for you. Connect with people that are like,
Mhm.
connect with those special projects, connect with, leaders of, unique programs that are of interest to you, because yes, you learn so much outside of your day job and you can
Mhm.
people that you wouldn't necessarily, run in the same pack with based on whatever team you're on or whatever,
Right.
what work is. So now you have to make it work for yourself. And even with my story, before I started at Red Hat, I was at Time Warner Cable
Mhm.
like 5 years. And so that was like my first job out of college, but after being a stay-at-home mom for
Yeah.
years until my daughter went to. And so I had a daycare then, right? So talk about making it work for yourself. If the reason behind that, I would stay at home and I wanted to have that gift of being a stay-at-home mom.
Mhm.
I was like, okay, well, I just need to do more with my hands, throughout
Right.
the day, right? I don't like the word busy, but I do like being productive.
Mhm.
My child right out of college. And so I started a daycare. And so who did I connect with? I connect with women and men who had children, who had corporate jobs.
Right.
After 5 years of providing that service to the community and to my family, I transitioned into corporate America, thus Time Warner Cable. And so I'm super hungry because I had not,
Right.
been able to take a bite out of that corporate apple yet. So I'm ready to go and show corporate America who I am. So that was great and wonderful until I ran out of gas, like physical,
Yeah.
gas,
Yeah.
chasing that ladder. So then I took a sabbatical, right?
Mm.
So at that point, I'm going through a divorce. And then I had, I feel like I'm telling all of my business, but I'm
No, it's all good because we shared it. I know where you've been.
so going through divorce. And I was like, okay, I gotta just pause for a second and figure out what
Mhm.
I'm doing. Cause I don't recommend. And when I work with people that, are open to my coaching, like, let's figure out where we're going. We're not walking in the dark, right? Because time is of the essence, right? We're not here for a long time. We're here for a good time. And so with that, I took a sabbatical. I literally had like $15,000 in savings.
Mm.
Yeah, that was great until it wasn't. 15,000 goes really fast when there's no input, right? And we're
Right.
in 2016. So not even with
Mhm.
inflation prices. So to your point, which is what I want to get back to, not quitting your job, yes, unless you have a nest egg to transition to the next thing.
Right.
I was ready to transition to the next thing, but I also knew that I needed, some resources and capital
Mhm.
resources in order to propel that thing forward, because I do want my dream to thrive and I want to thrive. So there's obviously some comforts that we just needed, like, or necessities, right?
Right.
Whatever, transportation, food, etc. So you want to make sure you're not so burnt out and stressed out around living that you can't breathe life into that passion and into that true.
Mm,
So yeah, there is some grit that you're gonna have to have. So you're gonna, may have to burn the candle at both ends for a while.
yeah.
But like, I'm just wrapping up my third sabbatical. Like, I believe in taking a pause, like
Yeah.
to decompress and then just to breathe life into that thing that really, gets me out of bed in the morning.
Hmm.
And then I tell, the people that I coach, you have to make a list, write it down,
Mm,
and be very specific about what you want. Like, I don't play about like specifics in life.
right.
That's how I got the specific husband that I wanted. That's how the specific person that I want to be right now in life, because I'm writing it down. I'm like, it needs to look like this, right? Yes, you allow space and room for flexibility and, for something that you haven't thought of to come into play and be, a blessing to you. But there are some deal breakers. Like, we like to talk about deal breakers
Hmm.
around my career, around, my business. These are the deal breakers.
Mm,
What I want. If it doesn't look like this, you have a short list of deal breakers, and then
right.
you have your list where, we can adjust, we can be flexible in this space. But I think it's important to know what you don't want,
You're right.
as it is important to know what you do want.
That's powerful. I never really thought about it as saying, we always talk about it in relationships, like you said, deal breakers. Like, what is my deal breaker for a certain company? And I think that is I try to educate people in the interview process that you're talking to people that you don't know, and you need to hear the things that they're offering to you for this potential job. But then also, even as an entrepreneur, what is it that you're going for? What is it that's not tolerable for you to actually, you know, achieve success? Got to set those standards and boundaries. Otherwise, you'll bend your boundaries for something that is later on going to cause you stress and going to cause you to be like resentful and resentment towards a company or a manager. Now you're stuck in a situation that you literally allowed yourself to be in because you just didn't stick to your guns. This is a deal breaker for me. So that's good. I'm using that, stealing it. That's why I take notes. Definitely take notes. So this is great. I wanted to ask you this, and I like asking this question, especially with folks who have made the transition, but then also thinking about your experiences in corporate America from a WAP. I love saying WAP, but as women of color, tell us the difficulties, the great pros, the cons. But as far as being a woman of color in corporate America, tell us about those trials and tribulations of really trying to connect and trying to be a part of something that really sometimes just doesn't want you to be there.
That's a deep one. It's been a journey. I would say not all negative, but certainly
Hmm.
been a journey. On many teams, I've been the only one,
You're right.
either the only one or the first one.
Mm,
So I would say first, you have to find a level of comfort in
mm,
being the only one and own that and be very proud of that. Like, celebrate that. Again, you're going to have to be comfortable with being a pioneer.
hmm.
But in being the first one or the only one, I position myself that I could open the door for others, right? So I'm given, in this scenario, the liberty to hire. So I can prioritize someone that looks like me and make sure
Right.
that, their resume is seen, their voice is heard, and then hopefully an offer is presented to them. So then I'm able to take advantage of the fact that someone trusted me to make a decision, and I am going to uphold that and just make that work for the greater good, I will say.
Mm,
Obviously our current president released this morning that DEI programs are to be halted or stopped or what have you. And it hurts, right? Because I know
Right.
I've been a DEI hire and I'm very proud of it,
Right.
especially as a woman of color, as a WOC, as you say, because it's so much bigger than me. Like it's
Yeah.
much bigger than just the individual.
Mm-hmm.
So I just look at the fact that, okay, I have to get in here and play the game, follow the rules. Like I'm not
Mm-hmm.
trying to, color outside the lines necessarily,
Right.
but because I want to make sure that not only can I benefit, but others can benefit. I don't want to mess it up for everybody else.
Right. 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 Right.
Just a weight on your shoulders. So,
Yeah.
and this may sound simple, but it is so true. I learned this very, very early on in my career. So I don't allow people to call me Kim at work.
Mm.
And, there are some people that have some decorum and they'll ask initially because everybody knows a Kimberly, right? Or 10.
Mm-hmm.
And so they'll ask, like, what do you prefer, Kim or Kimberly? Like, my sister's name is Kimberly, so, we call her Kim. And I'm like, oh, no, I appreciate the question. But at work, my name is Kimberly.
Mm.
You kind of get the side eye and it's like, okay, you'll get over it. But no, that is my name.
Right. 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 Right.
I like to be referred to because I code switch based on how, the name that I'm being called in that moment. And while that sounds very simple and trivial, it is important to me that I make sure that level of respect is upheld, like for me, because that's going to translate across the board.
Yeah.
When I'm director Kimberly and
Yeah.
enforcing a policy or bringing a decision to the table, I also want that same level of respect because if you give a little, they're going to take a lot. Yeah.
They're going to take a mile.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You give an inch, they're going to take a mile. So I think it's those simple things. For one, you got the job, right? You were seen as an expert. So pat yourself on the back for that and celebrate yourself because many times, yeah, you may get looked at as, how did you get in here? Right. But
Right.
that's not a shock to us. I think that has been happening for quite some time, for centuries, but make that opportunity now work for you. We can't forget the past, of course. We can't ignore the fact of perhaps it's been a struggle to get here. But now that we are here, what do you do with that? What do you do with this moment in time? And how do you then leave this opportunity much better than in which you found it and then make new opportunities for other people that perhaps look like you? And obviously in this position, it is people of color, but then certainly, women of color, in leadership. The software industry, it is uncommon, right? Just sheer numbers for Blacks to be, in the tech industry, and then certainly for women of colors in the tech industry. So it's just limited opportunities. We're growing, but I mean, there's so much, headway for us to make up. So I take my reputation at work very seriously. And then I think I've just been open to like stretching myself. And what I mean by that is placing myself in rooms where perhaps initially, right, I'm uncomfortable. I don't know anything.
Right.
And that's okay. When you don't know anything, the way to seem intelligent in those moments is just to ask questions. Obviously, ask intelligent questions, but you ask a good question and you automatically seem like a thought leader. So stretch yourself, right? Do research after hours. And going to be easy, but benefit from the opportunity that is sitting in your lap at that moment.
I am one of those people who ask the questions that shakes the room, and I love doing it. Like when I ask a question, I'm thinking outside of the box, but I have to make sure that people understand I'm asking out of curiosity because they might not have thought of the effects of the overall goals of whatever we're doing and deciding. So I'm that type of person like, well, you didn't think about this. So what if, and is everybody on the same page? And then that's when everybody goes, wait a minute, you're right. Or, so those are the things I think resonate. And I think also when you were talking about, being uncomfortable, that is how you grow, like you put on a pair of pants and you've gained weight, you're uncomfortable. And what do you do to get uncomfortable? You got to make a decision. You're going to lose weight or you're going to buy bigger pants. Either way, the decision has to be made.
Right.
And you got to take a direction, or you can just stay in that uncomfortable position. You'll figure it out after a while.
Sure.
But I love being uncomfortable because that's where I thrive. And I think it's important for people to have a plan, and like, you can use your company's goals and things of that nature that they have corporately, performance goals and things of that nature. That's good. You need to have a plan for your life, for your career, that guides you step by step. So like, I know this quarter I've done X, Y, Z. I need to now go to my manager and explain to them, this is where I'm trying to be.
Yeah.
Can you help me? Or, who can help me? Can you offer some help? Matter of fact, can I talk to your boss? Like, have one-on-ones with your upper leadership. Now, people don't think they can do that. And I discovered that when I was working at Cisco, you can do it. And I started having meetings with SVPs and the senior directors and opening up, and they were like, wow, you're very smart. And that started open, like you said, it started showing that I was a thought leader because I was just curious. Then curiosity is the key for men, women, ox, the whole thing. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, to that point, asking those questions and connecting, something as simple as like, can we do lunch? Can we do coffee?
Yes.
I'm a people person when I'm not.
Yeah.
I am a people person. I love to connect with people. I love to understand what they know. And people love to share, right? People love to talk about their journey, obviously,
Yeah.
their trials and tribulations. So people will offer information to you, but not if you don't ask, right? You have to seem curious about, what someone else knows and why. So something as simple as lunch, whatever, after hours cocktails or coffee are a great way to network within, a corporation. I know we are predominantly remote in a lot of corporate spaces, but still virtual coffee chats
Yeah.
are a thing that I think are very, very powerful. And you start to kind of get those nuggets of information that, help to propel you forward, but then also allows that senior person, if they are as a thought leader, yes, as a subject matter expert, but then just as a trusted source. That's what I was going for.
Yes.
A trusted source.
Yes.
So you want to be the person that they speak about in a positive way, obviously, when you're not even in the room. And especially the woman of color. You don't want to stand anything negative about you. You want them, and if someone is, you want someone in the room to be able to quiet that down, right? To dismiss
that's a sponsor.
stuff. Yeah, a sponsor for you. Absolutely. Absolutely an advocate for who you are, your character, your work ethic. So your character, your reputation, and your work ethic, although it's the same for everyone, different for us, right? And you can't be in denial about that. So no, I have to look a certain way at work. I have to show up a particular way. Not that I can't be authentic, but there's just some rules that I just believe in.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not even going to hold you on that. It's just, it is what it is.
Yeah, you're right. It is what it is. And you cannot, one thing to add is you cannot be in comparison. You can't go to this job thinking, oh, what they're doing this, I didn't get that. And it hurts because it happens because we see people going ahead of you and you've been here so long and we end up comparing. That sucks. I definitely, like I said, I managed a lot of women of color. I had a whole team and I supported them the best I could and just kept having them believe, like, it's going to happen. We're going to get you new jobs. We're going to push you. And it is a culture. A lot of times it comes with the culture of, well, it's not the culture of the company. It's the people that they bring in who aren't just comfortable with other people. And that's what it boils down to. And I think that's a lot of things that I've preached or tried to get in the spaces of some of these leaders. I haven't, and that's as a manager's role. Some managers don't take on that responsibility, but I went to my leaders and said, I have a whole team of 10-year plus veterans that are sitting here that can change the rest of this company, but they're not given the opportunity. And I don't know why.
Yeah, breaking down the biases, it is the work, right? So literally this morning, I'm talking to my husband after this article came out that DEI programs, our current president, are slashing those across the board. But I said, we have to ask the question, like, why did we have to stand up DEI programs to begin with. You know, like
Right.
that is the real root issue here. We only had to do that because of the biases, because of representation within the corporation. If those things were already in place, we would not have to shine a spotlight, you know, on diversity, equity, inclusion. And it's not it's not just about people of color in terms of,
Right.
you know, like it's inclusion, right? So it's
It has nothing to do with just Black people
Yeah.
or Spanish. If people don't get that.
If we could demystify that, I think, but yeah, I'm trying to keep it cool now because that's just a hot topic.
Yeah.
But if we were doing, I think, the right things, the things that were not biased, the prejudice things in corporate America,
Right.
if you will, we wouldn't have this issue of trying to understand, well, what good is DEI in corporations? Like, I would
Right.
love to ask that. I would love for that not to be a question that's on the table, but it is.
Right.
And it only is a question and a hot topic because we have so much work to do. So it's, well, now how do we do it without this protected, you know, umbrella or protected barrier of a specialized program? How do we do it just in it work? I would love for it to not be a thing, right? And promote
Right.
into the best and the brightest case. And so
I went on an interview one time, and that was one of my questions. Like, how does your company promote DEI with leadership and managers and that thing? And, you know, how is it held accountable? And she was like, oh, that's a great question. And she said, and this was a Caucasian woman, and she said, clearly, we can't unless we punish people. And I said, best answer I ever heard. Because she said, unless we punish people for not applying this, because people are who they are. Point blank. I didn't get the job, but I was like, ma'am, I don't care. You did.
Take away.
It was great. Like we got to punish people for not applying things that make the company more diverse. So as a culture, if you want to be more diverse, and statistics show that a more diverse company has better profits, has better success, has better growth, has better everything. But that doesn't matter to the individual people hiring.
Absolutely. And I'll add on to that, tying it back to the gift of entrepreneurship. Now I can stand up housing for women that look just like me. So I can do that DEI work.
Yes.
And I make the decision. I call the shots, right? I can determine or decide without any other red tape who I want to support based off you know, my mission, my assignment. So while perhaps you may not be able to do it, you know, in this space, I shall use their resources of, you know, the exchange of my time for their money to do it in another sector. And that allows me to sleep well at night. Like, we're going to get it done.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
We're going to make it happen.
That's great. That's great. I am going to ask a question I've never asked before, and I think this is important. So in your life, you've done a lot of things. You've been striving, and you mentioned earlier about your husband, but I want to say to you or ask you, how important is it to have a supportive partner while you're dealing, and you're soon to be a doctor as well. So we forgot to mention that, but that's a lot of things that you're growing, especially you said you're a Sagittarius. This is for Kimberly. And you like to keep moving. So how important has your husband been to you in supporting you?
Yeah, extremely, extremely. Otherwise, he wouldn't be my husband, right? I'm so carte blanche at this point. Like in my 40s, that's what I'm comfortable with. Like my voice.
You're not 40. Don't tell nobody that.
No, I gotta tell people, right? That's what, so comfortable with my voice, right? And comfortable with my deal breakers. So much like I made a list for my career path, I also make a list for my partner in life.
Right.
I still wanted him to find me and be found as the woman. I needed to have confirmation that once, you know, he was in my view, I'm like, okay, yeah, you're the one, because it all matches up here.
Right.
I think that is super critical. I was married initially for 7 years, you know, had my daughter, all those good things. And so I transitioned out of that relationship. So that gave me the opportunity, again, looking for the silver lining, to live my peace single and free. I had a blog called The Dating Chronicles. So I promoted, women and men to,
Mm-hmm.
mainly women, obviously, to just date at will, right? Like have your roster, your starting five, and you learn. I was not playing. My thing was you can go on 3 dates in one day. All you have to do is change your shoes. So you get to determine how you give your time and of your energy,
Mm-hmm.
right? And your physical, right, attention to people. That's your choice. I'm just saying cast a wide net so that gives you
Right.
an opportunity to understand what you like. You don't know what you like.
Yeah.
You try it, right?
Right.
You don't
Right.
like caviar unless you try caviar. By the time that I, was approaching my 40s, I solo travel, sort of climbed the corporate ladder, sort of checked those
Mm-hmm.
little standard boxes in life. And I realized what I then wanted was a partner to do life with, at
Mm-hmm.
this point. So we are coming up on our third wedding anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
I met him at work and I had known him since 2016.
Right.
I had some time to just kind of examine who he was as an individual. So with that, I prioritized someone that also prioritized their career path, right? That was,
Mm-hmm.
even if entrepreneurship wasn't your thing, it's my thing. And you have
Right.
space and respect for that. And then understand that some of the household resources are going to go to, this passion project of mine. It's huge because that's what I wanted. I wanted to have a partner to do life with at that point.
Mm-hmm.
My one and only child is now in college,
Mm-hmm.
taking off the mommy hat and showing up as an advisor and a friend at this.
Right.
So I knew that I had to code switch in life, right? I no longer
Mm-hmm.
have that identity of, so I was losing a lot of identities. I was losing the identity of, obviously, never the identity as being a mom, but I'm not hands-on mom, driving you to school, making lunches and
Right.
decisions for you. And I've already instilled that. Now it's for you to, take heed to the advice that we have poured into you over these last 18, 19, almost 20 years. So I was ready to have someone to travel with me, someone to, just
Right.
life with. Right? But then I was also in my 40s. I'm to run out and get married and,
Right.
do that if that's not your thing. But if you are interested in that, if you are interested in a partnership or doing life with someone, just be very clear on how you want to do life. And you don't have to
Mm-hmm.
do life with your partner based on the way that your cousin, sister, brother, mommy, daddy
Right.
is or has done life with their partner. Like, no, 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 no. Like,
Find your system.
find your system, right? March to the beat of your
Mm-hmm.
own drum. And again, I was very comfortable with my voice and I was very comfortable with what I desired for life. And I can articulate that, right? I'm a
Mm.
very smart person. And so he's like, well, I need to hear the plan. Right, let me hear
Right.
it. And this is my plan. Let's see if it matches up. So I couldn't come to the table with, well, I don't know what I want. I don't know what I like. Like,
Preach that one. We need to do a whole podcast on that one.
all for it. Like, no, I was very proud. It may sound simple, but I'm at a point now throughout my last sabbatical, I had taken time and I realized throughout some of the pauses I've taken in life, I've discovered what I really like in all things. I mean, something as simple as the type of candle I like, the body lotion I like, where I like to travel.
This is healing.
Like, yeah, it was very therapeutic. So when someone asked me, because you want someone to ask you, well, what do you like? I wanted to have a sound stance on sharing with
Mm.
this is what I like in whatever space and whatever category the question is referring
Right.
to. But that's because I took time to explore me, right? My likes and my
Mm-hmm.
likes and not wavering. Just because someone said I
Right.
should like it or I shouldn't like it, that doesn't really float with me, right?
You know what's crazy in that is that sometimes you haven't really told anybody what you like. So when somebody asks you, it's like, well, I never told anybody. Yeah, I do like that. And like I had to discover that about myself. I spent so much time finding me. And then it was like, well, what do you like? I'm like,
What
I don't know if I want to tell you. I'm scared. Like, no, this is mine.
minded enough. Yeah,
Hey.
You have to connect with a like-minded individual because you trust in the fact that what you like is what you like and it resonates with you. And you either want a partner that equally resonates with, or they just respect the fact that it works for you, right? There are many things in my partnership with my husband that I'm like, yeah, I don't get that. And certainly he looks at me the same way, like, I don't get that, right? Like, we're both fire signs, so we have that connection, but they're just, we came from two different worlds, but we make it work. Because I don't know if someone that's exactly like you. I like some spice and variety. So show me some things, expose me to some things, and vice versa. So again, allow a space and room for flexibility. So yeah, I'm all about a list and a plan and working that plan, making that plan work for you.
Man, let me tell you something. We have dropped some bombs here on this podcast. I mean, everything from your entrepreneurship to corporate to your relationships to your passion to, I mean, I think really deeply and truly, like I said, when I talk about careers and getting new careers, the dynamics of what we dropped today are really important for people to think about. So I try to show people how to get that done. So more of this has to be discussed. I want people to thrive. That is my purpose. I want people to thrive and do their best. You want people to thrive and have success and live their best lives and get the best opportunities when it looks like it's not there. So I appreciate this. I'm going to ask you one last question. I'm just looking at the questions we had. I'm like, wow, we hit that. We hit that. I always send the questions out. I barely asked any of them, but we hit them.
Good.
We hit them. So, I would say for you, and I'm trying to switch these questions up because I ask the same ones all the time. I usually, want to see what everybody's perspectives are. But I would ask this to you as well, because we're talking about entrepreneurs. What advice would you give to a woman of color or to a man of color or anybody who's like, man, I want to be smart? What advice would you give to them as they're thinking about being an entrepreneur in 2025 and beyond?
Yeah, great question. The advice that I would give would be, I'm going to go back to a list, right? But I think it's write it down and write down everything that you enjoy doing. Because I think life is about living and really enjoy. I don't know, I'm crazy to believe that life should be amazing. Not that you won't come up against roadblocks, but of course you use the roadblocks to your advantage. So start with just an unscripted, unbiased list of what do I like. Again, taking time to understand what you like, what really resonates with you. Just make a list. Don't think about how it relates to a business and how you can make money. The money will come, if that's your goal. Certainly, I know that's but money can't be your only goal. Like, that's
right.
When the money dries up or the money isn't there initially, you have to still be able to lean into something that's going to propel you forward. So what is that thing? For one, I mean, I didn't necessarily know providing housing to women of color coming out of foster care wasn't anything that I wanted to do since I was yay high. Like, I didn't know.
Right.
It's just a part of my life work based off of my life story. But I literally had to just sort of go deep in prayer to say, okay, God, I'm ready for my assignment. So I just position, like, I've lost my mom. I've seen the amazing work that she's done and how it has, been a blessing to me. So I just want that thing, right? I want that impact. I want that, ability to say that I did the thing that I was put on this earth to do. So I just started, very much so just open and willing to receive whatever was shared with me. And then it started to make sense because even with my nonprofit real estate, networking, connecting with women of color, interior design. So all of these things started to fold into the mix of SaNora Cares. But it just started with, oh, I'm ready for my assignment. So say just start with an open mind, and then over time, and then have a trusted source. I like to be that trusted source with people. I love just to get some ideas. I listen, I don't judge. And so I like to say, connect with someone that allows you to kind of pull it apart, right? And make sense.
Yes.
Be so caught up in your headspace. And I know I'm that person. I'm a visionary. So I'm always like, 50,000 foot view. So I have a life partner that zeroes in on, okay, well, let's set up a spreadsheet and let's just see this and this formula and that formula. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you do that. I love that for
yeah.
the visionary.
Right.
Yeah, come up with that list that makes you smile, that resonates with you. share with a trusted source. If you don't have one, I could be that person. And then begin to just sort of, map out a plan of execution over time and realize you're not going to get it perfect. So start to debunk those myths out of your head. If you think Apple, Amazon, and all of these amazing companies, now that we know to be who they are today, started with, whatever, $1 billion industry and all of these resources.
Right.
No. That's been a journey. It's been a hell of a journey.
Oh, yeah.
Understand you may not come out of the gates running, if at all. You may be stuck at the gates for a while. So, and that's okay. No one can judge you. And even if it's done before, you're like, oh, I want to come up with a different type of bread. Walk into the grocery store aisle, realize there are many different types of bread, and that's okay because they're all making money.
Right.
If you have a mission and a passion, you have to be passionate about it. I mean, I've done businesses out of a need. Like I had a daycare. I was a stay-at-home mom. I wanted to, my mom. So yeah, there was a need for the community, and it was for a season.
Right.
And that's okay too. So
Right.
you'll have amazing relationships with these children, with these parents. So it served its purpose. So I would say, don't think that your entrepreneurial, mission has to be with you for the rest of your life. It's okay to, put on the signal and try something different, because you may have a different passion that you discover, or you can just build upon, what you in the past. So I would just be open. Start with that list, share it with someone, allow for ideas to flow to you, and then just be open for change and iteration and innovation over time. Don't box yourself in. I believe in coloring it all outside of the lines in life. So yeah, just be willing to just take it as it comes and have fun with it. Have fun with it.
Yes, that is key. Have fun with it. And wow, this is great. I got lists, trusted source. I think that trusted source piece is huge, because even for I would say this for a lot of men. I won't say just Black men, but men, period. We don't always have that outlet in finding somebody who's not going to judge you. Because once somebody judge you, and anybody, you be like, man, forget it. I ain't going to do it. You get sad, you'll dump down.
It's funny that you say that. I mean, I do have a passion. I have to be careful in terms of how I articulate this, but I have a passion in holding space for Black men, right? In a lot of different spaces. While I'm trained in energy work and life coaching and things like that, but more so because it really breaks my heart. Just as a woman of color who's obviously, but I am attracted to men of color. Yeah, there's very few communities for you guys. Just very few. I mean, and I've seen that even with my husband. He's Greek. He's an alpha. He grew up in New York, but his father raised him. So who's an ex-Marine and a homicide detective in New York City. So dad provided, and dad was a hard ass. That space, it wasn't the dad like, oh, dad, I'm thinking about, starting a company. Yeah, no, there was no space for that. It was just go out, work, raise a family. So I have to kind of explore again, think about new opportunities and build it upon, some of my passions. Like, how do I work with that? How do I hold space for specifically men and men of color to have an outlet for them where they're not judged? Because even sometimes their partner, women of color who also are traumatized in a lot of ways.
Right.
It's just like, oh, I don't see that working, right? Or sense. And so, like you say, once someone pokes holes in your dreams, sometimes it's just nice just to let somebody dream, right? Just dream, let me fantasize, and then we can bring it on in to make it make sense and make it make dollars.
Yeah.
But not initially. Once you shoot it down, we do that with children, right?
Yes.
So no, just let them dream.
That's huge. You know what? You just had me thinking about this. Our mothers play a huge part, especially for Black men or any man, really. Our mothers play a huge part. And this is just me, my opinion. Don't nobody shoot me down for it. But our mothers play a huge part into how we're willing to let people in. Yeah. Because if you talk to your mom about something and she says, shut up, go in your room, that's stupid. Just because you're a kid, like, Mom, I want to do this. I mean, I got some examples. My parents are funny and love my parents. My parents have been very inspirational. But there's some things my parents said to me, and I was like, man, I ain't going to ever do that. This is a funny joke. Now, Dad, don't get mad. But I told my dad, he's like, what you want to be when you grow up? I said, I want to be a comedian. He bust out laughing. He said, that was funny. You on your way. And I was like, what was so funny about that? And I went in my room and thought about it. I was like, he don't believe that I could be a comedian. And I'm like, I could have been like, I'll show him. Or I was like, you know what? Forget it. I threw those dreams away.
Yeah.
But then also from a mother's perspective, when you want to share stuff and parents will judge you immediately on your decisions or thoughts and you want to open up, of course, we're human, but you can't connect. Sometimes you don't connect with your parents because parents want to be that authority figure all the time. So as you get older, as a man, you don't really trust the opposite sex to tell you or listen to you. And it's hard for that connect. This is we done went down a whole rabbit hole.
Yeah, we're going
I can go down there.
Whole another segment, but I think it's so critical. I mean, I would say like my first degree is criminal justice. And so that's the degree I got at North Carolina Central University. I think the jail cells are just full of Black and brown men today because of just a lack of love and compassion and the lack of space that trusted sources just didn't hold for them. Right. So sought out because the need to belong is a hierarchy need. We're gonna somewhere and many times wrong spaces. And I'll close with this because I had a mom who was just like, you can do anything, right? You can just do anything you put your mind to it. So that is the gift that I received from her stepping out and doing her assignment. I have a daughter who's aspiring she's a pilot in training. So she's going to be
that's good.
Pilot. And I could have said, no, right? No, that doesn't make any sense. There are, no or very few Black female pilots. It's a male-dominated industry. It's a white male-dominated industry. That I could have threw out all the negatives and all the facts, because they're a fact.
Right.
But I'm like, okay, when we gonna start? Because I love the truth.
Right.
She already know the first flight, or maybe the second or the third, but I guess some experience.
The 10th for me, I need you to have some hours under your belt.
I was like, up in the airport, just know, be prepared. Be prepared to be embarrassed because I held space for your dream, and now, let's just celebrate that. But having someone in your corner to celebrate even just the thought of something being possible in your life it's life-changing. It's a life-changing.
And this is how networking works. I need to hook you up with Tamika Adams. She was on my show. She's an airline pilot for United. She's got commercials and everything. She's the 8th female pilot right here in the RTP area. So
I would love the formal connection, of course, because that's what it's all about.
Right. This is good. This is great. This is awesome. So if anybody wants to contact you, Kimberly B. Evans, soon to be Dr. Kimberly B. Evans, how do they reach out to you, pick your brain? Just want to learn some things from you. How can somebody contact you?
Yeah, I'm easy to be found. So LinkedIn is Kimberly B. Evans. Feel free to drop me a line. Additionally from that, my email, Dr. KB Evans as well. So I think those two mechanisms will certainly connect you to me, and I look forward to the connections.
Great. This is awesome. And we had a great time. Folks, I want y'all to understand, Kimberly answered the questions because we're in a professional setting today, okay? She answered these questions. If you pay attention to how she responded, it's the perfect way to do your interviews. You did some things and stuff and tricks that I teach people that are natural in conversation with you, and it is awesome. So please, but if you want more content like this, more entrepreneurs, I'm going to expand to so much. Definitely doing a podcast on code switching, more great things that are about to come in the future of Career Transformation Academy, and some other guest surprises that I have up my sleeve. But if you want more stuff like this, please continue to look at us on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok. We're back. And also, I actually joined Fanbase. So Fanbase is actually a great place as well. I love it because it is owned and operated by African-American man and group and company. So I think it's an awesome platform. But yes, we're there at Career Transformation Academy. You can go on TikTok as The Blueprint by CTA. But if you want to learn more and take a deep dive into your career and expand yourself and go to that next level in your life, and that's why we're called Career Transformation. We want to transform your life into the career that you need and desire and want and love, so you can get some more money in your pocket, but also have some life empowerment, some new lifestyle changes, some family empowerment, and enhancing who you are as a person. Go to www.careertransformationacademy.com, book a free consultation, and you can talk to me are some of my folks, and we'll get you started. We definitely want to get you on the pathway to excellence in 2025. So thank you, Kimberly B. Evans. This is awesome.
No, thank you, Mark.
This is great.
Amazing work. I'm grateful to be here, grateful for your time. So thank you.
This is great. So, folks, all we have to do is the awesome peace. We're out.
Oh my God. Oh my God. So high up. I'm so full. Deja vu. I've been here before. Say come back down to earth.